Dumbledore, Piccolo, Uncle Iroh, Phil Dumfrey. The Goat Dad Council has spoken. These legends are worshipped as good fathers within the good fathers community. But there's one dad who's been criminally overlooked. A father so unintentionally wise, so chaotically loving that the science itself needs to study him. That's right. Like the title said, it's Goofy. And if you think I'm glazing, then your dad probably went out for some milk in 2001 and left you with trust issues. But hey, Goofy came back on the fishing trip. So sit your tail down, abandoned children of the world, and let's talk about why a Goofy movie is the greatest parenting documentary ever made. All in great fashion, we kick it off with Max, Goofy's idiotic son, waking up realizing that he's late. Then Godfrey, opening up the door and greets his sad excuse of his son who's getting ready for school and tries to run out. While Goofy gets cleaning up, he accidentally sucked up the cardboard cutout of Michael Jackson. The ungrateful waste of seed complains, then officially runs off to school. After hitting a melody that increased Max's social standings a little bit, we see Goofy doing his job as the world's greatest baby photographer in history. Getting babies to focus and calm down so he can take a picture is honestly one of the hardest things and most difficult jobs you can ever embark on. And honestly, if I had Goofy as my employee, I'd give him a raise. Pete the Coper comes in already seething, seeing Goofy doing his magic. Tries to take the shine from the undisputed champion of fatherhood, but of course he fails spectacularly. Goofy, ignoring the hate from the greatest hater himself, Pete the Punk, unapologetically takes a call from the school that Max goes to. Now, this decrepit loser and failure of a principal himself decides to lie and exaggerate to the MVP of the MVPs of fatherhood about how Max could, and I quote, go to the electric chair. The chosen one could have sensed his son's pathetic excuse of an adult principal capping harder than an obese person who orders a Diet Coke at a drive-thru with their Big Mac meal for the sake of losing weight, and could have called him out. But being the A1 day one father that he was, he proceeds to take accountability and figure out a way how to reconnect with his son in the most perfect and glorious plan: a fishing trip. Pete the Beta hates on Goofy since he can't match the glorious king's perfect unspoken skill for his craft as Goofy departs to turn his son's life around for the better. Goofy packs up their gear, picks up his seed Max, and they depart for the greatest adventure of their lives. The duo drive off, with Goofy hitting the greatest notes to dog and mankind has ever existed. Eventually, they both arrive to a place called Lester's Possum Park. Max, the misguided, of course doesn't enjoy the show, but everyone else is having an absolute blast. Then, Max, the ill-advised, foolishly sends verbal assaults at his blueprint of a father, Goofy. But being the A1 day one that he is, Goofy takes that with a grain of salt and let it washes off of him like water, then proceeds to take Max out of there. The duo then travel for a little bit more until they make it to a lake. Max the Ungrateful continues to pout as Goofy takes time out to set up the kingdom of peak fatherhood until an RV comes out of nowhere. Turns out it belongs to RJ Pete and his circus clown of a father, Pete the Lame. RJ and Max continue to hang out as Pete couldn't even waste a moment to gloat about his constant reminder of the bad financial decision. The gold standard of fatherhood continues to let Pete gloat as he congratulates him on his purchase. Goofy and Max then separate themselves and go fishing for a bit. Goofy yoinking the expired steak from Pete's grill and fishes it onto the other side, fishing not only any normal fish, but a legendary creature, Bigfoot. Enraged by the $2 chum bucket of an offering called a steak, Bigfoot eventually chills out on the car as Goofy and Max reconnect. Goofy, displaying peace, proceeds to sleep after showing us why he's the pioneer of being an amazing father, as well as showing us his gains in the bakeries. Max, the mentally ill, then proceeds to change up as the fate of choice appears in front of him in the form of a map with a route on it. Max solidifies his status as the dog equivalent of a participation trophy as he reroutes the map to go to LA instead of fishing into Atlantis. When the pinnacle of fatherhood wakes up, the duo goes to breakfast as Goofy dubs Mac the Master Navigator, a mistake that he shouldn't have made. But then again, even the greats mess up. This position entrusts Max with the responsibility of picking out the stops along the way as they go to their destination. Goofy and Max the Deceiver go on a montage of bonding activities which they both partake in and both have fun. And having fun until the point where a mime gets crushed to death by a literal piano. After they commit murder and bond, they eventually arrive at the prelude of Bikini Bottom. The godfather of fatherhood and Max run into RJ and his sad sack waste of excuse called a father named Pete. The boys eat pizza and chat it up as Goofy just chills in the hot tub. Pete comes back, but overhears the boys talking about Max's sin against his father. Pete, being the D1 knob-slobbing hater that he is, gleans over the chance that he can hurt Goofy with this information. Now let's take a quick pause here. Let's review this bum named Pete. Pete is not only a bad photographer, he is a super elite hater, and he's a worse father than Uncle Ruckus's dad. Like, my dude, your son is out of shape. He needs your help. With your love and guidance, you can build a better relationship with him. However, you want to ruin someone else's relationship with their kid because your son doesn't want to open up to you. That's absolutely pitiful. But moving on, Goofy decides to chill out in the hot tub, just soaking in the joys of fatherhood. As the top tier CEO of being a bitter failure comes in and sneakily drops this.
I just hate to be the bearer of bad news, but,
What is it, Pete?
your kid's duping you.
What do you mean?
Well, I heard the little mutant telling PJ that he changed the map, so you're heading straight to LA, pal.
Goofy pulls the absolute father of the century move, not only calling out Pete, but defending his boy. And ladies and gentlemen, Goofy will always be a pro Hall of Fame father in my books. Like, my goodness, this man turned around in the midst of allegations against his son and didn't fold on him publicly. And then not only defend his boy, but called out said source. Greatest father right there of all time, hands down. After standing 10 toes down, Goofy goes back to the room, stopping at the car along the way to see if the allegations were slightly true. Long story short, yeah, Max ain't beating them allegations. Realizing his son is faker than a rapper's chain, he doesn't go off on his son, he just goes to bed and go to sleep. Max and Goofy then the next morning continue on their journey as Goofy decides to put Max to the test to see if his son is truly real or not. This test involves Mac picking out a direction in the crossroad, which, surprise to no one, the disappointment picks the obvious route. Goofy pulls over, realizing that his son is worse than Boruto, and is devastated. The duo starts to argue back and forth, and they eventually get caught up in the water. Goofy and Max realizes that they're in deep doo-doo as they reconcile. And Goofy does the most amazing, fatherly, heroic thing that anybody without powers can do. He sees that his son is in trouble, and he saves Max's life with a fishing rod, getting his boy to safety, and doesn't really care about his own. Max, now being redeemed, in turn saves his father, showing us that he's changed, and he now earns the title of being his father's son. And like fate that rains down for rewarding Max for accepting his calling and becoming a better dog, the duo make their way on the stage and dance with Michael Jackson. So that's it. Bye.